Hello and welcome to DVB English News. I'm Joe. In this week's headlines, nearly 50 civilians killed in first week of January. Lao Special Envoy meets Min Aung Hlaing. Power supply remains 30% below pre-coup levels. Economic activity 10% lower than in 2019. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs stated that nearly 50 civilians were killed, and more than 60 were injured in military attacks during the first week of January. 3 of the dead were children. Over 40 civilians were killed, and more than 30 were injured by airstrikes in Sagaing, Bago, Shan, and Arakan states. At least 17 civilians were killed in an airstrike carried out on Kanan village in Sagaing region on January 7th alone. More than 2.6 million people are now internally displaced persons, or IDPs, nationwide. The National Unity Government states that at least 1,017 women and 627 children have been killed by the military since the 2021 coup. The new Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, Special Envoy to Myanmar, Aung Hlaing met with Min Aung Hlaing and regime officials in Naypyidaw on January 10th. Regime media reported that he also met with leaders of ethnic armed groups and political parties in Yangon and Naypyidaw. Kitikun previously served as an official in the Lao Prime Minister's office and as envoy to the UN. He was appointed Special Envoy by Laos as it assumed the ASEAN chair on January 1st. Indonesia, the previous chair, and Malaysia, the future chair, have formed a troika with Laos to deal with Myanmar's political crisis. The ASEAN 5-point consensus has failed to stop the violence. Power supplies in Myanmar are currently 30% below pre-2021 production levels. Guillaume de Langer is a former advisor to the Ministry of Electricity and Energy under the National League for Democracy, or NLD government.
The most likely scenario that I see is a stagnation of power supply at the current level, so pretty much the 2016 level, which is about 30% lower than its peak of early 2021, right? So power production today is 30% lower, particularly in dry season.
That was Guillaume de Langer, former advisor to the Ministry of Electricity and Energy under the NLD government. He added that electricity supplies in the country could worsen depending on energy production in the coming years. Gas production is projected to decline dramatically, as fuel and electricity shortages have become increasingly common since the coup. The World Bank report Myanmar Economic Monitor stated in December that the economy remains 10% lower than it was in 2019. This makes it the only economy in East Asia that has not returned to pre-COVID-19 pandemic levels of economic activity. Sean Turnell is the former economic policy advisor to the NLD government.
It is quite remarkable. Here we are 3 years after the coup, and the economy is still smaller than it was in 2019. So in great contrast to every other country in Southeast Asia, and certainly every country within ASEAN, Myanmar's economy is the only one not to recover the losses from COVID.
That was Sean Turnell, former economic policy advisor to the NLD government. The report went on to state that Myanmar's economy is projected to grow only by 1% over the year. Since October 27th, fighting has spread nationwide, causing trade and logistics disruptions, chop volatility, and high inflation. And that's all for this week's headlines. I'm Joe. Stay tuned to DVB English News on Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. Follow us on Spotify, Audible, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, or YouTube Music. We are available wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening.